The hall went quiet in the way only expensive technology can manage, sound dampeners sliding into a respectful hush while the air itself seemed to hold its breath. The armor stood at the center, flawless, whole, unmistakably repaired. The queen stared at it, and then at the court, and then back at the armor, as if hoping it might apologize on its own. It did not. Her long ears angled back, a subtle but widely understood sign that someone's day was about to become educational in a painful way. "Who fixed this armor?" she demanded, her voice carrying authority, resonance, and a mild harmonic enhancement provided by the throne's built-in amplifier. Sacred protocol shimmered behind her words like a warning label no one ever read until it was too late. Priests shuffled. Courtiers avoided eye contact with impressive coordination. A maintenance drone attempted to exit the hall and was immediately vaporized by a security field, which felt a little dramatic but made the point. The armor, traitor that it was, gleamed innocently. "I can explain," a voice said. Every head turned. A human man stepped forward, hands raised, posture apologetic in a way that suggested long practice. He wore a utility suit patched with mismatched alloys, one sleeve slightly scorched, and the expression of someone who had just realized honesty might have been a bold career move. The queen froze. "You," she said, not loudly, which was worse. "You are not permitted within 12 meters of royal relics." "Yes, your majesty," he said quickly. "In my defense, it was 14 meters when I started." A ripple moved through the court, half shock, half suppressed laughter. The queen did not smile. She examined him as if he were a mathematical problem that refused to balance. "You touched armor that has not been altered in 8 centuries." "Yes, your majesty." "You rewired its internal lattice." "Yes, your majesty." "You ignored sacred corrosion." "I didn't ignore it," he said gently. "I panicked about it." That earned a blink. Just one, but it was progress. He went on, momentum carrying him forward now that execution hadn't happened in the first 5 seconds. The phase-bonded plates were about to collapse. Another week and the ceremonial gravlock would have failed. You'd have stepped into it and fallen through your own parade. I assumed that would be frowned upon. The court inhaled sharply. The queen leaned forward, curiosity beginning a quiet rebellion against fury. "You presume to understand our engineering? I presume physics is still rude to everyone," he said. "Also, someone replaced the original stabilizers with decorative ones. Very shiny, not very functional." Murmurs spread, uneasy, defensive. The queen raised one finger and silence obeyed. She descended the steps, stopping before him, close enough that he could see the faint luminescent veins along her long ears react to his presence. "You expected punishment," she said. "Yes," he admitted. "Possibly creative punishment. And yet you proceeded." He shrugged. "Armor didn't care who I was. It just needed fixing." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the queen turned back to the armor, placed her hand against it, and felt the steady, honest hum of restored power. Her court watched her carefully, already rewriting loyalties in their heads. "Summon the auditors," she said at last. "And someone get this man a chair before tradition collapses from exhaustion." The human exhaled. "For the record," he added, "I also fixed the humming noise." The armor stopped humming. Somewhere in the hall, someone laughed. The chair turned out to be a tactical mistake. The moment the human sat, the court seemed offended by the concept of comfort arriving ahead of judgment. A translucent restraint field flickered around him anyway, politely, as if apologizing for existing. He tested it once with a finger and nodded. "Good response time," he said. "Little tight on the left." A robed official hissed. "Do not critique the Queen's justice lattice." "I'm not," the human said. "I'm critiquing the firmware." The Queen lifted her hand and the restraint field dimmed, though it did not vanish. "You will speak when addressed," she said, then paused. "Unless what you are about to say is useful." "That's fair," he said. "Statistically rare, but fair." The auditors arrived in a shimmer of folded space, 3 of them stepping out of a hexagonal aperture that closed behind them like a polite thought. Their eyes glowed with data intake, layers of probability running across their pupils. One of them immediately focused on the armor and made a small, troubled noise. "That noise," the human said, pointing. "That's the noise I fixed." The auditor ignored him and projected a web of symbols into the air. Lines crawled over the armor, sank into it, re-emerged, then tangled in places they should not have. Another auditor frowned. "There are modifications here not recorded in the sacred logs." "That's because they were illegal," the human said before stopping himself. "Sorry, that was probably premature." The queen's long ears shifted, angling forward now. "Continue," she said. Encouraged against his better survival instincts, he did. Someone rerouted energy from the armor stabilizers into auxiliary systems. Quartz systems, decorative gravity ripples, aura enhancement, throne resonance amplification, no offense, that last one's impressive but wildly inefficient. Several courtiers stiffened. One actually checked his robes, as if corruption might be visible on fabric. The auditors cross-referenced. Symbols turned red. One of them tilted its head. "The human statement aligns with our findings." "Of course it does," muttered a priest. "Physics always sides with barbarians." The human smiled faintly. "We prefer guests with screwdrivers." The queen stepped closer again. "You risked execution for this." "I risked embarrassment," he said. "Execution was a surprise bonus." A pause. Then, unexpectedly, the queen laughed. It startled the room more than anger would have. "You are strange," she said. "You fix what is forbidden, speak without fear, and insult my throne's acoustics." "I didn't insult them," he said. "I admired them aggressively." The auditors finished their scan. One turned to the queen. "There is systemic negligence. Intentional decay." The armor was allowed to fail to preserve symbolic ruin. The court erupted, voices overlapping, denials colliding with protocol. The queen raised both hands and the room obeyed again, slower this time, as if tradition itself was tired. She looked at the human. "If I had fallen during the ceremony, you would have recovered," he said. "Eventually, the court would have blamed fate. Someone would have written a poem." Her ears angled back again, not in anger this time, but thought. "You fixed the armor without permission." "Yes. You exposed my court without accusation." "That was an accident," he said. "I was aiming for structural integrity." She turned away from him and faced the court. "Remove him from the restraint field," she said. The field vanished. The human stood, reflexively brushing his hands together. "Thank you. For what it's worth, I also recalibrated the honor sensors. They were lying." No one laughed this time. The queen smiled anyway. The court did not dissolve into chaos so much as reorganize itself around fear. Officials who had spoken loudly now discovered urgent reasons to be elsewhere. Others stood very still, as if hoping inactivity might be mistaken for innocence. The queen watched it all with a calm that felt newly sharpened, like a blade finally remembered its purpose. "Deactivate all ceremonial systems," she said. A chorus of alarms protested, then obeyed. The throne dimmed. The air lost its artificial resonance. Several courtiers swayed slightly, discovering they had been leaning on enhancements rather than legs. The human glanced around. "Wow," he said quietly. "You were running this place on performance mode." She turned to him. "And you ran toward danger without orders." "I ran toward a problem," he corrected. Danger was already there. The auditors projected their findings in full now, a lattice of proof too dense to argue with and too elegant to ignore. Names appeared. Accounts drained. Systems locked. One official attempted to flee through a private jump gate that no longer existed. Another tried to feint and missed the timing, collapsing after everyone had already turned away. The queen descended the steps again, stopping beside the human instead of above him. That alone rewrote 1,000 assumptions. "You will remain," she told the court. "You will answer. and you will learn the cost of mistaking tradition for virtue. Silence followed, heavy but clean. Later, when the hall had emptied, when the auditors had folded space and left with their data, when the armor stood quietly humming with honest power, the queen remained. So did the human, unsure whether leaving unescorted counted as escape or rudeness. You expected execution, she said again, softer now. I plan for worst-case scenarios, he said. It's a habit. And now, he considered, now I plan to be fired. She studied him, ears tilting forward, light moving beneath the skin. You repaired more than armor, she said. You repaired a blind spot. He scratched the back of his neck. Happy to invoice for that. A pause. Then a smile touched her mouth, brief and real. My people value rank. You value function. I value things not falling apart, he said. Ideally while someone important is wearing them. She walked to the armor and rested her hand against it once more. I was taught that it must never change, she said. That decay honored the past. And instead, he said gently, it honored whoever benefited from ignoring it. She turned to him. Stay. He blinked. In the hall. In my court, she said. Outside rank. Outside protocol. You will advise. You will fix what others are afraid to touch. That sounds dangerously like a promotion. It is dangerously like trust. He exhaled, something easing in his posture that had been tight since the moment he stepped forward. Then I should warn you, he said. I ask inconvenient questions. She inclined her head. I am beginning to enjoy them. As he moved toward the exit, she added, one more thing, the armor. Yes, it will be worn again. He smiled. Good. It prefers purpose. The hum of the citadel changed, subtle but unmistakable. Not louder, not quieter, just true.